Okay, welcome everybody to our first math video. I am starting the clock, my stopwatch, and I have 10 minutes. And I really am gonna have trouble doing this in 10 minutes, but I'll do my best. So you need to write everything that I write on the screen. Okay. If I write on the screen, you write it in your notes. And also write this heading. Every time you see a heading, you need to write it, and then you need to write the problem and then everything I write on the screen. Okay. Select the decimal that is equivalent to 45/54ths. So in order to do that, we're going to follow this pattern. Denominator, numerator. All right. So 54 is our denominator and 45 is our numerator. So we're doing some long division now. Long division is easier when your denominator is like one digit, but we have two digits here. So I'm going to make it easier on myself. Now I'm going to write some multiples of 54. So if I add 54 plus 54, that's 108. Plus 54 is like 162. And one more 54 would give me, no, I can't do it in my head. There's going to be 6 there and 11, so 260. Okay. So that's the first four multiples of 54. We'll see. Oh, 4/5. That's not gonna work. We need to keep going. Okay, so then that's 10. And that's gonna be 7, 270. So yeah, I'm just taking the time and I am adding 324 now. Add 858, and then that's a 5 and a 2, that's 7, 378. And one more, 12, so 8 plus 5 is 13. What? Oh, 4, 32. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So hopefully I don't need 9. Okay, so 54 doesn't go into 45. So I'm going to put a 0.0 and say, how many times does 54 go into 450? Well, I can see if I went one more to 9, it'd be, okay, fine, I'll go. So that's 6, 5 plus 3 is 8, 486. So 9/54 is 486. So it doesn't go in 9 times, it goes in 8 times. And now I multiply. 8 times 54 is 432. And the nice thing is now I don't have to do any more hard brain work. Now I subtract 450 minus 432. So that's a 10, borrow from 5. 10 minus 2 is 8. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 18. Okay, so now 54 into 18, no dice. So I put a 0 here. How many times does 54 go into 180? That would be 3. So now I multiply, and I already know it's 162 over on my list there. And now I'm going to subtract. That's 8. Borrow. So 18 again. Bring down a 0 again. There's going to be 3 again. And I'm noticing the pattern is 8 is 0.8333. So in math, when we have a repeating decimal, we can either write 0.83 or 0.8333 dot 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 dot. So those are two ways to write a repeating decimal. And I can see my answer on the screen is going to be D. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's writing fractions as a repeating decimal. That is 4 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to show you our next lesson. So I'm going to do like one example of each, and then you're going to try it. And then we're going to talk about it in class. Okay, so not expecting you to learn it, but I am expecting you to come to class with some background knowledge from this video. Okay, and that will really help us in class. So now we're going to go the other way. We're going to take a repeating decimal and write it as a fraction. So 3.5 repeating, which would be 3.555555, you know? How am I going to turn that into a fraction? Because like if I had 0.75 and I wanted to make that a fraction, that's easy. That's 75 over 100. Because I know this is 75 hundredths. But this never stops, so I don't know what the denominator would be. So when you have a repeating decimal and you want to write it as a fraction, check it out. I'll show you the process. We're going to write the repeating decimal itself as x. Make it a variable, like the variable is, how do I write this as a fraction? I don't know, so I'm calling it x, right? Anytime you don't know something in math, you call it x. But what do we know about x? We know that if we multiplied whatever that fraction is by 10, we could do that because we can multiply both sides of an equation by 10. By any number, right? So I'm going to do that, and I just want you to watch what happens. So 10 times x is 10x. And anytime you multiply by 10 or a multiple of 10, it moves the decimal point 1 to the right. So that makes this 35. But we know that 5 goes on forever. So it's 35.5 repeating. So now I have these two equations. And this is going to be crazy until you see what happens when I do it. I'm going to subtract them. And I hope you're saying, why? Why would you subtract them? Once you see what happens, you'll be like, oh, okay, so 35.5 repeating minus 3.5 repeating. When you subtract these two numbers, what do you see in both numbers? The 5 repeatings. And they go away. They cancel each other out. And 35 minus 3 is 32. Then on the other side, x is 1x. So this is 10 minus 1, which is 9. 9x. The x's don't cancel. Okay. And so 9x equals 32, so now we just divide. And so x equals 32 over 9. So let's try that one. And you see, it's right. Okay? So there you go. And now this last one, I should probably do, okay, we're going to go a little over 10 minutes, but not too bad. Because we're going to look at the book after this. Because it's going to be textbook Tuesday. Okay, so let's do this again. 3.16 repeating is my decimal that I don't know how to write as a fraction, but I'm going to multiply it by 10 or 100 or something, right? I'm not going to multiply this one. I am going to multiply it by 10. Okay, so I'm going to multiply it by 10 again. But if there was another digit here that wasn't repeating, what do you think I would multiply by? I would then multiply it by 100. Write that down. Okay, but this one, I'm not going to do this. If you wrote it down, you can just do it on your own. But oh, that's good. Tutor me. I want to find. No, that's easy. Too easy. Just skip. Okay. This one. Yeah. I don't find it with this next one. I'll just pause the video. All of these. Okay, so you know what? This is good. All of these you can multiply by 10. So I'm looking for the more difficult one, but all of these have only one number that is not repeating. And so you can just multiply them all by 10. So now let's look at this next one. This next one that again is just multiplied by 10. Oh, Khan Academy, give me a difficult one. Okay. So this one is a little bit, different because it has two. So we'll do this. So I have 0.580 repeating, okay? And that is my X. This time I don't have any number in front of the decimal. So I have to multiply, I have to make two equations where we have a whole number in at least one. So I'm going to multiply this one by 10. Okay. And we get this 5.80 repeating. But now I'm going to multiply this one and I'm going to get two equations that I can subtract because this one doesn't really help me because we don't have any number in the whole number place. So this time the pattern has two digits. So I'm going to multiply it by 100. Again, it's because I want these two equations I can subtract and get rid of the repeating part. So now that makes 1,000 X. And on the other side, we get 580.80 repeating. Okay, so now I have my two equations that I'm going to subtract. 1,000x 80 repeating minus 10x. Nice. And the more you do these, the easier they'll get. But I can understand if, with just the second example, you could be a little confused. It's okay. So when we subtract these two, the repeating parts cancel, and 580 minus 5 is 575. And 1,000 minus 10 is 990x. And now we divide both sides by 990. And the cool part about these is we end up with a repeating decimal that indeed, is that. Like if you divide 575 by 990, if I'm right, then that's what you'll get. Every now and then, I get it wrong. Didn't get it wrong this time. Okay, so those are a few examples. And now that did take me 12 minutes and 54 seconds, but I do need everybody to turn to page 342 for like 2 more minutes. Sorry, trying to be quick, but I guess I can't be quick. So actually 242 is in the lesson, but the lesson in the textbook begins on 336. Okay, so 336, everybody's there. So now, in addition to trying those Khan Academy assignments, I also need everybody this week, have to have this all done today, but we're starting this today. You're going to complete the three Khan Academy assignments, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to look at the textbook because this has so much good information. First of all, this "Are you ready?" is things that you should already know, but if you don't know, then you know what you need to practice so that what I just did is easier for you. If you saw the things that I just did and you're like, whoa, what was that? It could be because you need to practice one-step equations. Or it could be because you need to make sure that you know how to plot rational numbers on the number line. Maybe, you need to just practice that a little bit. Or definitely converting these fractions to a decimal. Once you have these different skills, and if you need to practice it more, of course, there's an IXL number that you can just go do that with. And then when you come back to what I just did, it won't seem so bad. Okay, so keep that in mind. I need you to start on page 336 after you finish this video in the Khan Academy, and I need you to start right here with the textbook. And then go to this real world scenario where we're calculating batting averages. And so that means, you're just going to have Jamila is 2/5, and you're going to convert that to a decimal. Just using the same method that I did, denominator on the outside, numerator on the inside, and then all the other planes too. Okay, but the other reason we're using the textbook is because they give you all this vocabulary. So I need you guys to read through this and add to your notes that you've written down from the video so far these terms. Any terms, so rational number, terminating decimal, repeating decimal, irrational number, pi, circumference, diameter, numerator, any number, any word that's highlighted, you got to put it in your notes. And you got to try to answer these questions. Okay? And definitely some of this is some of the things we'll do in groups on Wednesday. But if you come to your group and it's already finished, then you'll be the group leader. And then the last thing in the textbook is, of course, after the notes, you have your check for understanding questions. So basically, you should be able to do or, try all of these things just based on what I just explained. And then the last reason that I really love the textbook is because we have these real world scenarios where we're getting to see these numbers in real life. And of course, we have our STEM thing. Okay, so I'm telling you, and the critiquing the reasoning, this is a school goal that we have. So I'm telling you these things and highlighting them specifically because they're going to be on quiz. Okay, so that is all for the video. So you've watched this video, then the next thing you have to do is go to Canvas, join our Khan Academy class, and you should see the 3 assignments. 1, 2, 3. And so get a score on all of those assignments. And if you do that, then you can open up your textbook and start your textbook time. Have a great time.